Hello everyone, this is your buddy and your pal, Aewch, and this is what you've been watching. Music. Wow. 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 Wowie, wowie, wow, wow, wow. I am already questioning the decision to watch anything for this show, as it has led me to this week's movie. I have had this on my DVD shelf for legitimately years and have never watched it until now. When you are looking for content and you lean towards the crazier side of things, this is the kind of stuff you gotta deal with. Today's show leans big towards music fans, as the movie title will excite you and the stars of the movie will terrify you. So, sit back, look this up on IMDb as we go over Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, starring Peter Frampton and the Bee Gees. Oi. The movie starts with some backstory on Sgt. Pepper, whose music was able to stop World War I. Apparently, the Kaiser just loves some brass instruments, I guess. Pepper passes away with the town of Heartland erecting a weather vane on top of City Hall in his honor. The band name gets passed down to the next generation, which I think is a system we should adopt. Just imagine the next wave of creativity we would get from Sum 41 II. Anyways, the new band consists of the Bee Gees, their fabulous hair, and Peter Frampton, playing Billy Shields, who is dating Strawberry Fields. They're really trying to shoehorn a lot of Beatles references in. I don't think that was an actual character in the Beatles version. But you will soon find out there's not a lot in common with the Beatles version. At all. The band gets a demo tape ready to send to a record company in LA. Apparently, one song is good enough to do that. Just ask Lou Bega. The record company loves it and wants to bring them out. The band says their goodbyes, including Strawberry and Billy's tender goodbye, shall we say, which leads into Here Comes the Sun. I was thinking more, why don't we do it in the road? They fly out to Hollywood and basically get seduced into a record deal. I mean, if the money was good enough, that should be it. Although it was the tail end of the 70s, pretty much everyone assumed the coke and sex were included in the contract. While the band does become popular and famous, shifty things start happening back in the Heartland. If you're wondering when the Blue Meanie makes an appearance, he doesn't. With the weirdest portrayal in the movie, Mr. Mustard, a shady real estate agent / creeper, is sent to Heartland to steal the original Sgt. Pepper's instruments. I was under the impression affecting the giant super popular band that came from the hometown would be more effective than just taking some old instruments in town hall that are just gathering dust. With the instruments gone, Mr. Mustard essentially buys out the town. Think of Pottersville from It's a Wonderful Life, like the town without George Bailey. Then add a giant decorative burger dripping with mustard in the center of town, which is almost as cheesy as a town focused on an old brass section. And a point I want to make here, just because it's a little personal, the movie shows the whole town going shady because they added an arcade? I mean, bars and movie theaters, there are air quotes around that, I kinda understand, but there's nothing really wrong with an arcade, Aewch said, pausing the scene of the movie where there is booty grabbing and stripper dancing atop of a Jaws cabinet. Strawberry hates these changes and heads to LA to get the boys back to help out. A little behind the scenes moment for me. It's really tiring to keep writing Strawberry Fields. So basically on my notes I just kept writing less and less of her name. So Str Fields finds the rest of the band, tells them the original instruments are missing, and go on a strangely anime-style quest to get them back. Which is easy because they basically commandeer Mr. Mustard's bus, and it already has one of the instruments. They're the good guys. It's fine when they commit crimes. So, 2 instruments are being held by 2 cameos respectively. Alice Cooper's scene really isn't much, but Alice Cooper then looks like Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters now. It's really interesting. The other cameo is Steve Martin playing Dr. Maxwell and sings Maxwell's Silver Hammer, which I'm pretty sure is widely accepted about doing heroin. Some things are just not family friendly, no matter how much you ham it up in a scene. You know, Steve Martin, Maxwell's Silver Hammer! Like, it's really ridiculous. The band gets 3/4 of the instruments back, albeit they get their ass kicked each and every time, and then the bad guy just runs away. That's been today's lesson on Nobody Learns Anything Theater. While the band has been away finding the Dragon Balls, the evil record exec is upset that the band hasn't been making any money from touring. So the band gives the idea of doing a benefit for Heartland. How is that gonna help out? An instrument is still missing, Heartland is a scum town, vice is everywhere. How is more cash going to help in this situation? So they hold the benefit, which is really just an excuse for Earth, Wind, and Fire to perform. But with the band coming back into town, it's so strange. Like, the bus they have decorated with, like, streamers, there are tumblers and acrobats jumping around. It looks like the town gets invaded by a roaming gay pride parade. It's just a little too campy and outrageous. During the show, Steffields gets kidnapped by Mr. Mustard and taken to the evil base, where the plan is for Aerosmith to brainwash her into becoming a mindless groupie. Which, with Steven Tyler singing, it just might work. Frampton and the Bee Gees fight Aerosmith, which I believe is the exact moment the 70s died. Steven Tyler falls off screen and lands in that classic, like, fall from heights position. His arms are thrown to the side, one knee is somehow bent backwards. It's a classic trope. In the nuttiest moment of the entire movie, Strawberry is chained to this giant money symbol. It gets knocked to the ground, whipping and slamming Strawberry Fields to the ground, killing her. You see that. It happens. It's like, wow. Oh, it doesn't end there. The town holds Strawberry's funeral, which the bad guys are somehow allowed to attend. Frampton doesn't want to live without her, attempts to kill himself by jumping off of Strawberry's house. The weather vane of Sergeant Pepper comes to life, starts shooting laser beams. He saves Peter Frampton, turns the heels into religious nuns and priests, brings Strawberry back to life, then sings a medley of Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band with all of the biggest stars of the 70s, including Wolfman Jack, Carol Channing, and Sha Na Na. And that was Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band with Peter Frampton and the Bee Gees. Wow! Watching this movie was like watching someone play a bootleg version of the Beatles rock band. The music isn't quite there, it's disappointing and unimpressive. First, Frampton and the Bee Gees are no John, Paul, George, and Ringo. There's no super depth or nuance to their singing. It feels really flat and off for the most part. And Peter Frampton's singing face is way too animated. Like, his face is stretching too far off of his skull. It's really distracting. As for the acting, well, you don't have to worry too much, since the entire movie is just Beatles covers. It's a creative choice, but A, if you're going to do an interpretive take using the Beatles as an inspiration, maybe use some more actual hits and not B-sides? Honestly, there's like maybe 4 recognizable songs maximum, and B, using only songs inflates this movie to almost 2 hours. That's about 60% more Frampton that I didn't need to see. Overall, the word of the review is wow. Or possibly Strawberry Fields. If you were expecting a take on Yellow Submarine, this movie smacked you down so hard. Like, the DVD cover is them in the traditional Sgt. Pepper's super outlandish and colorful attire. So I always assumed that it was like a live-action version of that. But a gritty look at the rise and fall of a popular band, including the lives affected by said band, get ready for one hell of an episode of Behind the Music! Again, not a boring movie by any means, but it really straddles that line of, what the hell am I watching? Insanity very, very closely. And that was this week's show. Thank you for listening, everyone. As always, find me on Twitter at JustAewch, capital J-U-S-T, capital A-E-W-C-H. Check out the blog, aewchspeaks.wordpress.com. You found this podcast, as always, at justaewch.podomatic.com. If you want, send me an email, aewch64@gmail.com. And as always, the music provided by the Bass Rebels, probably a lot better than any of the music in this movie, but they do great copyright-free, lo-fi, chill, kind of dancey stuff. You can find them bassrebels.co.uk. With that being said, I am going to go clean my ears out from this movie. We will see you guys next time. Bye-bye, everybody.